This is Michael Brown and Justin Lewis on with another edition of the Online Success Podcast. Justin, how you feeling? How you doing, man?
I'm excited, man, because I just this last weekend I actually had 22 people show up at a local event that we hosted in Hampton Roads. So it was pretty wicked, and we actually talked a bit about what we're going to discuss in this podcast.
Yeah, that is awesome. I saw the post that you put up on Facebook, and I've talked to you about that, and it sounded like a great time. I wish I could
Oh, it
get
was
out there
awesome.
for it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like we had I believe we had 23 people show up. A few people brought some of their friends and stuff like that. But it was just in person, me trying to discuss pretty much how to get started online, how to create a website, and all that. Um, but we also talked a bit about success and things like that. It wasn't as organized as I would have liked it to be, but it was a really really great experience. And the only way that I would have being able to continue this, the only way I'm ever going to be able to become a public speaker and do these events is if I keep trying instead of giving up like most people do.
Yeah, it's something that it's hard to do when you first go out to do them, and if you gotta want to speak, half the time
Yeah.
I'm like, do I want to go up on a stage? Or you gotta really decide if you love that. Well, that's awesome. Are you planning on doing some more?
I actually do plan on doing a couple. Well, I plan on doing two a month. That's what I'm trying to aim
Hmm.
for. This Saturday, we're actually going to be doing one in Chesapeake, and it's not going to be like an actual training event, but it's just going to be like having lunch with a couple of people and talking about networking and marketing and things like that. But it's a really really great experience for me because I've never personally ever done anything like that before, other than these two most recent times
Hmm.
over the last month. And it's a lot of fun, and it's something I want to get into. I would love to do public speaking and stuff like that. The only way I'm gonna get into it is if I start somewhere. So we began with actually just doing this inside of restaurants. So that's how we're starting out. Just everybody orders a bunch of food and everything, and I just go ahead and talk. In the future and everything, I like to make them a little bit more professional and everything. But it's great to just start somewhere. So.
Yeah, and when you're in a restaurant, at least if you're boring, people are still having a good time because they're eating, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Not that you're boring, you know what I
Dude,
mean?
dude, I ended up talking for 3 hours.
Wow, that's a
they
lot of time.
they were asking a lot of questions and all types of stuff while I was doing stuff on the screen, and it was just it was a great time. So
Oh, that's
definitely,
awesome.
we're going to be talking today about how to not fail at making an income online, and really how not to fail at anything. So it relates in that sense. So
Yeah, yeah, and it's critical, and it's nice that you just recently talked about some of this stuff because these are a lot of things that people do wrong when they're coming online, or things that they don't realize where they're making a mistake, or where they're giving up or giving in. So that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. So let's go ahead and get into this. And what we're going to discuss. Sorry, everyone, I had a problem with my slide presentation, so I wanted to make sure the people watching this on video could see this. But as always, something has to go somewhat slightly wrong.
oh,
But
that's great.
but what we're going to be didn't someone say last time when we were doing this that they like our mistakes because they realize we're even more human?
Yeah, because I dropped my headset.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I,
yeah. The
I
last
dropped
time.
my headset in the last, I think it was the last episode, episode 5, and I ended up just slamming my headset up on the ground by accident.
Yeah, that was
And
pretty
while
funny.
you were talking too, so
Yeah, and I thought you fell out of your chair or something,
yeah,
and I thought maybe I said something that just made you fall over. But
it was good timing though. But
but here's what we're going to go through some problems, and then we're going to go through some solutions that some of the typical people who come to the internet who are looking to make money have some of these problems that come up. And the first problem, and problem number one, too many people come in here and they look for the easy way out. Now, some of that's not, and if this is you, some of that is not your fault, because there's a lot of people online that say everything is so easy. All you have to do is hit a few buttons and you make money. I think there literally is a sales page out there that says with 13 clicks of the mouse you'll be making money, which is crap.
dude,
So
I've seen products and I've actually spent money on that type of stuff before because I don't know, I just got into the hype. And I know a lot of people out there have probably done the exact same thing. You know, you spend a bunch of money on something because they say, hey, in 3 clicks, you're going to have results.
Yeah.
And sometimes it may be true in the fact that you may get results from that, but it's not going to be money. You know,
Well,
you might get a bit of information from it or something, but money doesn't just come in a couple of clicks. It takes work.
yeah, and if someone guarantees you you're going to make money, stay away from that person
Heck yeah.
because one thing you'll never hear from Justin and I is that we're guaranteeing you're going to make money, because there's no way to possibly do that, because
Yeah,
there's so many reasons that go into that. So just look out for that. So here's the thing, though, with looking for the easy way out. You have to always keep these things in mind, that it actually takes work to make money online. Justin and I can give you the blueprint. We can give you everything you need, but if you don't use that blueprint, you don't follow that blueprint, and you don't actually apply the things we're teaching you, guess how much money you're going to make?
And since you say that, Michael, something I think I want to give a shout out to one of our students, Laura. Laura recently came into the university. I believe it was very, very recently, and she ended up following everything that we've said. I actually watched her go through all of the different lessons and go over each individual part, and she's actually taking action on what we're saying. And that's just, I love that type of stuff, when people actually go through everything and they actually do what we say to do. It's really, really nice to see, and not many people out there do that because they think, hey, I'm going to hop in this and I'm going to make a bunch of money without doing anything. I'm going to go ahead and read lesson 1 and then just go off into Neverland.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what people do. Some people do. They don't think they have to apply themselves. And you know, one thing too, the shout out to Laura, I was looking at her site, and it looks beautiful for a first time site.
Awesome.
Like my first site didn't even look close to that. So she's doing an awesome job. So Laura, if you're listening, know who you are. We've seen your site. It's beautiful. I know we've talked to you in the forum too. So
Yep.
but the other thing it takes, okay, so you're putting in the work. You got to put in the work. It's going to take work. It takes time also. You have to dedicate yourself to taking some time to learning. And I don't mean just putting in 10 minutes here or there. You need to sit down, close the door to your office, or have a quiet time where you ask your family for some quiet time where you can go off and learn this stuff before you apply it. So it takes time, and it also takes time to grow. So as you're building a site, as you start making money, in order to get from point A to point B, it's going to take time and effort. Again, it takes actual work to do that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, just my experience from that, this is super quick. When I first started, I didn't think of any of that type of stuff. You know, I jumped in, I read a tiny bit and everything, and then I just walked away and started taking action without even actually reading what I was supposed to do. You know, it's a really good thing to have a blueprint, have something to follow, and then actually do what that says, and then expand from it. That way you don't make all the mistakes right in the beginning, and you save yourself a buttload of time. Because I invested a lot of time in the beginning, and it was wasted time.
Well, and Justin, with what you just said too, it's important to have a community. Just with like in our case, you know, we teach a lot, and we help people inside of nicheoptimizer.com, where they use the forum section to communicate with us, because while you're learning and you're dedicating the time, if you need some quick help, it's good to have someone there. Yeah. So that's another tool that while you're learning, you've got someone there helping you every step of the way that already knows what the heck they're doing. When I started, it was a little different than when you started, Justin, because when I started, I didn't really have anyone showing me all the things I needed. I had some help here and there by asking questions in a forum myself, but there were a lot of chunks left out, and I found out that I had to learn a lot on my own, and that's something that, you know, I know you and I, we like to take that painstaking process out, but that does save you a lot of time in the long run to remove that painstaking process and have someone there helping you. So if you do something, you're like, wow, did I do this right? Let me ask. Let me find out. It's like when you're in a classroom, if you ask a teacher, you know, am I doing this problem right? They can help you right then and there, help you figure out what you're doing wrong. Unfortunately, when I was in school, the math teachers never really helped me that well. So,
it's so true. Our educational system's crazy, because when I would ask questions, I would never get a real answer. I would never actually they'd more just try to help the entire class, but not help me as a student. And the only time that it ever happened was I had a teacher, this was in geometry, and I actually had a teacher that would come up to me and he would specifically help me out with what I had a problem with. I absolutely loved that, and I ended up getting the highest grade in the entire school in geometry that year just because of that teacher. Outside of that
Nice.
class, with all of my other classes and everything, straight E's and D's and just terrible grades. So
So
you
with
need a community.
Yeah, you've got to have that. It helps, and it will save you a lot of time. Now, with time and with it actually requiring some work on your part, you also, and I'm just going to touch on these because we just basically went over them. It's also going to take dedication on your part. It's going to take real effort. You're going to have to put in some real effort to it. Again, if you can section off a block of time, like an hour or two, that works better than if you're just putting in 20 minutes here or there and picking back up where you left off, because at times you can easily forget where you left off. And I'm not trying to promote Niche Optimizer here like crazy, but one thing that's nice inside of Niche Optimizer is you can actually take notes while you're going through the course right there in the course. So you can, if you do only get 20-minute blocks of time, you can at least note where you've left off and take notes on what you're learning. But that being said, the best way to approach this when you're learning, whether you're going through the Online Success podcast that Justin and I put out, like you're listening to right now, or you're going through our free training or the paid training, whatever you're going through, section off some time, dedicate yourself, put in some real effort to do those things. The next thing, oh, go ahead, Justin.
Oh, I was just going to say, when it comes to, when you're talking about Niche Optimizer and everything, I don't think it's really promoting it too heavily or trying to push it on anybody, because, I mean, really, it's up to you guys. You get to decide if you want to do this. You can listen to the podcast. You can check out our free information. And if you want to join our university, that's okay too. But it's just, mainly, it's just a really good example. So I think that's what the reason we're mentioning it a lot is because it's just a really good example of the things you might need.
Yeah, and you'll know as the person wanting to learn this stuff when it's time, when you want to make that step. The next thing it takes willpower, and this is one I want to speak about for a few seconds here, because willpower is one of the things that I stress to people, and here's why. Because we have all this time, okay, whether no matter what we're doing in our lives, no matter what job we're working, no matter if we have kids, if we don't have kids, whatever we have a free will. We get to decide the stuff we want to do every single day. So when you decide you want to make money online, you need to commit to that, and it takes willpower to say, I'm not going to go watch a 3-hour movie tonight. I'm going to sit down in my chair, I'm going to turn on my computer, I'm going to study, and I'm going to apply myself and start making money online. And if you don't have that willpower to fight off temptations to do all this other stuff, you're not going to make it through this. You have to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit down and apply myself and make this happen. And if you keep getting up every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, if you keep answering your phone every 5 minutes, if you're checking Facebook every 5 minutes, you're not focusing on this, you don't have that willpower to make it. You have to have that willpower to go do it, to make money online. You have to stay with it, focus on it, and do it.
And with what you're talking about, Michael, and everything, willpower, it's something that not everyone just immediately has willpower to. Sometimes you have to train yourself. You have to teach yourself how to, control or limit your time and things like that. Because, like with me, I love playing video games. I adore video games more than anything, really. Same thing with motorcycles. But what I do is, with the motorcycle, I would go out and I would ride for, an hour. But that would be it. I'm done riding for the rest of the day and everything. I got that out of my system. And then maybe I would come home and play video games for maybe a couple of matches in a video game or something like that. And then I would get to work and not focus on that stuff anymore because I got it out of my system. So if you can do that type of stuff, kind of put them in segments and then have a dedicated time where you can actually put in that effort, I think that's really important to have.
Yeah, great tips there on doing that. And you can also reward yourself too. Like say, hey, I'm going to get this done for an hour, then I'm going to go play, watch a movie, play video games, whatever
Yep.
you do for your hobby, whatever you like to do. So you
Hmm.
can do that in the opposite order that Justin just mentioned it too. Whatever works for you, but have that willpower coming in that you're going to commit to it and do it too.
Yep.
Just to sum up, problem number one, there is no easy way out. Stop looking for the easy button. If you're watching this on the video, you can see the giant red easy button on the screen. It doesn't exist. The easy button is you focusing and getting everything to run automatic at some point. Then it becomes easier because then money's coming in when you're sleeping and when you're playing and whatever you're doing. But you have to work to to that point. You have to put in the time and effort, have the willpower to get there. So apply your time and effort to be successful. Stop looking for the free ride. Stop looking for the easy way out. You're not going to find it. It doesn't exist. If it did, no one would work any other job. Everyone would just come online and hit a few buttons, 13 buttons, and make their fortune, right? It
Exactly.
doesn't work like that. So stop looking for that. Start focusing on what you're going to do to grow your business from the ground up. And come over with Justin and I. Listen to our other podcasts. Come to Niche Optimizer. We got a whole blog up with all kinds of extra training and things. Come use that to push yourself where you want to go.
Yep.
Now, problem number two is equally as bad because this happens a lot of times when people really get started. Like you might start going strong for a few weeks and everything's going great, and all of a sudden you come up with excuses.
Oh,
Excuses
God.
are like the killer of businesses.
I hear them all the time.
I'm telling you, excuses are so bad because all of us, even I do it, we all can come up with so many excuses of why we can't do something or why we're not going to do something when we should be telling ourselves what the benefit of doing those things are. So let me just go through some of the excuses. I'm just going to run down these pretty quick here, and Justin, you can chime in wherever. But these are a lot of the excuses. A lot of people say, if I only had a lot of money or if I only had $1 million, I could take that money and do everything I want to do. Well, here's the thing. Most people aren't get blessed when they're born or coming in an early age with someone who gave them $1 million or a lot of money. And I'll attest to that. I was not. I grew up with not a lot of money, but you work hard to get there. Ignore that excuse. Money's not going to get you to where you want to be. You need to. It's that work ethic that's going to get you there. So ignore the excuse when it comes in that if I only had a bunch of money to do X, Y, and Z with.
That's why a bunch of people that win the lottery end up going bankrupt
The
because
majority.
they think yeah, I mean pretty much everyone that wins the lottery or gets a big lump sum of money in a short period of time, they end up losing all of it because they don't know what to do with it. To get to that $1 million, what you should do is you should gain experiences, gain knowledge, and learn, and
Yep.
then use that in the future. That way, if you ever go bankrupt, you can get yourself out of bankruptcy. And I've had it happen multiple times throughout my life and everything, and my mom has as well and everything, where we've lost everything, but we've picked ourselves back up, and we've lost everything again, and then we pick ourselves back up. So don't look for money. Don't look for that $1 million and everything right off the bat and say, oh, if I had this, I'd be well off and everything. But yeah.
Yeah, and Justin, going in with, if I only had that kind of money, another one is if I only had what this person has or that person has to get me started, right? Like
Yeah.
if I only had what they have, it would be easy. And I even when I first got started into this, sometimes I go, wow, if only I had heard about this 4 years ago, this would have
Yep.
been so much easier. But you know what? That's gone. It's in the past. You don't have what that person has. You don't have that time to go back in time. You're at the point you're at right now. So suck it up. Don't think about what other people have. Think about what you can do because you have talent. Everyone out there, everybody has some kind of talent. It doesn't matter who you are, you've got something. And, I came into this whole online thing, and, I probably sound like a broken record on this, but at the time, there wasn't a whole lot online that I could do. I could browse the internet, I could send and answer emails and do things like that, and really look stuff up on the internet. There was nothing that I really did with it until I learned how to make money with it.
And you know what, Michael? The only way that someone's going to be able to get to that point of where someone else is by learning from them, or pretty much doing the same things that they've done. Try different things out, learn from other people. Like with you, Michael, and everything, you came into this and all you knew was how to, pretty much just do the basic things on the computer, but you learned how to build a business. And then I came into this and I looked at you and I remember saying, dude, I wish I had what he has. He's living the life. This is awesome. I want that. But the only way I was ever going to get that, the only way I was ever going to achieve what you had achieved and everything, is if I followed what you did. Not specifically followed what you did, but put my own little ideas into that and try different things and learned off of your mistakes.
Right, and from that too, you came in, you said, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. And see, that's what
exactly
people need to understand. And if you're listening to this, pay attention to this point. Trust me, if Justin and I can do this, you can do this. We're not rocket scientists. Some things like that only certain people can do because they have to be extremely brilliant. To make money online, you don't have to be extremely brilliant. You have to follow people who know what they're doing, who are doing it. Apply yourself and tell yourself that, hey, if they can do it, guess what? I can do it too. And go do it. And don't make an excuse for it. Go do it.
There are a lot of people out there that, they say, well, the only way I'm going to get there is if I spend a lot of time into that and everything. And they start bringing time into everything. Everyone thinks that, oh, well, I have a job, so there's no way I can do this. I have no free time. I can't go into this business whatsoever because I don't have any time at all. But really, when you're starting out, when I first started out, I had 3 jobs. Well, I had 2 jobs at the time because I had just left one and everything. And then I was down to my last job that I was working and literally got on this for maybe a few minutes a day. That's all the time I had when I began. And it wasn't a lot, but it got me to the point where I am now, where I was then laid off. And then I was able to, build a business online, make an income on the internet. So the time excuse is one of the worst ones because everyone just thinks you have to spend so much time into this, and you don't. You just have to use that time wisely.
Yeah, it's like you just said, use it wisely. Learn, pay attention to what people are doing. If you're taking our training, follow it, and focus on it, and then ask questions if you get stuck or need some answers. But never think that you don't have free time, because when I first got started, I worked constantly. I drove to work every day, which was an hour, 2, and then another hour back every night. And I would work about 10 to 11 hours every day. I was in management in drugstores. I know a lot of you probably know this already, but I was gone all the time. And if it snowed, I was really gone, like all day trying to get back home. But I wanted to do something else. I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So I applied myself in my free time to learning how to do this and then applying it. So applying it as I go. And again, I had to learn a lot of it on my own, which Justin and I can help take a lot of that pressure away because we already show you what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, and hopefully these podcasts are helping people out in some way. So
I know they're helping people because we've had we've had so many great comments on.
Oh my God, it's exciting.
Emails. It is. It's so exciting, man, because it's the podcast. Because when we first set these up, we weren't 100% sure of how they were going to do. And it was nice. It's nice to see people like going, hey, man, your podcast this week really helped me. So. That kind of leads into
the next one where it's about where people say that they have too much to do, and at the time we actually had a lot that we were already doing. We were all over the place doing tons of different things. We have our niche websites. I have my Facebook pages. We have YouTube channels. We have our university. We have all types of different things. I'm doing local events, but we still have time to do things like this podcast.
Yeah, and never assume that just because you have a lot going on in your personal life that you have no time to do this.
Yep.
Again, if you can section off blocks of time, that's awesome. If you can't, do what you can do. Okay? If you've got a half an hour, put that half an hour into it, but tell yourself when you start, you're going to stick with this half an hour and focus. Because again, if you're checking Facebook, you're checking email, you're answering your cell phone, guess what? That half an hour is going to be eaten with you doing nothing but wasting time, basically.
Yeah.
Even though some of that stuff might be important, think about the years where we didn't have cell phones, where we didn't have Facebook. Ignore them for a while.
Yep. Same thing with TV shows too.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody wants to watch TV, but you can get something like Netflix or Hulu or something like that, and then maybe instead of just saying I can't miss this episode and everything, don't watch it now. Focus on what you want to achieve right now, and then watch it later. Like I watched the entire series of Lost in like a week, when everyone else spent like 6 years watching that show.
It's funny you mentioned that, because my family, like Beth, my wife Beth, and my son, they love Lost. They're both starting that just a week ago, and they're going through the episodes right now. But
dude, it is such a good show. Oh
the other thing is too.
All right, nobody watch that show. You're gonna get addicted to
it. Excuse me. The other thing that to go in with what Justin's saying about TV shows and such, I'm a big NFL fan, but the first year I started making money online, I sometimes had every other Sunday off usually. So guess what I did on Sunday? I didn't watch football. I focused on building my business. Focused on it. And yeah, did it suck at the time? Yeah, I missed football, but in the long run of things, a year from applying myself, I was able to quit my job. So would I go back and do it all over again? Absolutely. I'd missed 3 years of football. Just to point that out, just to give you an idea of what I would, when you say I can't miss something, you know what? Miss it. Skip it. Sacrifice something just a little bit to get to where you want to be. And I'm not saying give up your life, but get, some of the stuff is the entertainment stuff, some of the trivial stuff, give it up for a little while. Trust me, the reward is on the other side of that.
Yep.
Another thing people say all the time is, and this is one, and I understand where you're coming from on this, but some people will say, I'm not smart enough to do this, or I'm too old or too young. I think some of those fall into hand in hand. Here's the thing. You don't have to have a degree to do any of this stuff. You don't even have to know anything when you start. You're never going to be too old to do this, and you're never too young to start this. So it doesn't matter if you're 18 years old. It doesn't matter if you're 70 years old. Justin and I train people who are in both categories right now.
Yep.
We train people who are under 20. We train people over 70. And people who are in both categories have told us that they're making money online. So,
and you know what I thought was awesome? The people that came to the local event just recently, we had, we would have people that were younger than me. I'm 23, and we would have people that were younger than me, like 19 and stuff like that, that were interested in this stuff. I even had a kid looking over my shoulder. I don't know how old he was, maybe like 10 years old, something like that. Sorry if you're a little bit older, kid, if you're watching. But he was like 10 years old looking over my shoulder, and he was so like interested in this stuff.
Yeah, he was probably like, screw school, I know what I'm doing. No.
That kid could be a millionaire. Who knows?
Yeah.
He might actually go into this and everything at that young of an age. And then we had other people that were much older. And just like people that we have as students and stuff like that, and people that I've consulted before. I'm actually consulting someone right now that's in their 70s. So anyone can do this stuff. It's all about you taking that action and going into it. And then when it comes to not being smart and everything, I mean, intelligence has nothing to do with it. It's all about action. It's all about action.
Yeah, your intelligence will not matter on this. In with that whole category with all that too, someone might say, hey, I don't even understand computers. Trust me. Like, I could use computers when I got started on this, but again, being able to just browse the internet and check email is all I did online.
Yep, okay, and all I knew how to do is play video games.
Yeah, and see, Justin has tutorials already set up for people that if you don't even know how to use your web browser, he can help you use your web browser or copy
Google
and paste.
Chrome.
Simple
Google
things
Chrome.
like that. Yeah, Google Chrome. So here's the solution to making excuses. Stop making them. Stop making excuses and start doing these things. Start putting your mind to it. Stop putting things off and using excuses to hold you back. Instead, tell yourself why you should go do this, not why you can't do this, because everybody can do this. Stop the excuses. Okay, hopefully
Let's say
I know
it 4 times.
that's the broken record, but hopefully that gets through your head to just stop. Stop making excuses.
Stop it.
Start doing. Start focusing, and set aside time every single day to learn, and set aside time every single day to do, to apply what you learn. So maybe one day, if you really are time strapped, you've got some time to learn. Make sure the next day that you apply what you learned.
Yep.
And keep doing it. You trust me, the reward is there. So again, stop the excuses. You're going to go farther with this. So I know I said that 800 times in that last slide.
Everyone on the other end is just like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, well,
Stop talking.
Yeah, everyone can yell "shut up" at me. That's fine. I don't care. I want people to go do what I'm saying here. So if you're at a point where it's like, if I'm annoying with that, that's great. That means that it's getting through.
Yeah, just don't stop the podcast, because we still have more information to share with you.
Yeah, don't stop listening to the podcast.
Once the podcast is over, then go ahead and take some action from what we have to say. So.
Okay, so now that you know to stop the excuses and start doing, don't treat this as a hobby. Yeah. And here's what I mean by that. I'm not saying that you can't take your hobby and turn it into a business, because you can. What I'm saying is, don't treat this like a hobby. A hobby is something you do when you have time. Yeah. Something you do that's fun when you just can muster up the extra time to do it. This, however, is something that you can do, that you can make money with, that is also fun. But if you start treating this like a hobby, well, a hobby doesn't make you money. A business makes you money. Take your hobby. If you have a hobby that you're building a website around, treat it like a business, and you'll start making money with it, rather than if you are trying to build a business that you're treating like a hobby. That means you're never going to take it serious. You're never going to put in the time that you need for it. And ultimately, you're probably not going to succeed doing that.
And what also happens is, like when I used to take things just as a hobby and everything, they wouldn't be as professional. Not saying professional is something that the internet needs or anything like that, or the world really needs, but they weren't as organized and helpful to people that were coming to me looking at this information. They were like, oh, well, this is cool, you're sharing information on motorcycles, but what else do you have to share? It wasn't organized, so they couldn't find anything else.
Right.
When you treat it like a business, you're going to try and help that person as much as you possibly can, which is going to end up making you money as well. So
yeah, and I'll just point out something, and this can be applied to pretty much any serious business owner out there in the world right now, but Bill Gates, Martha Stewart, Richard Branson, Oprah, those people, when they got into what they were doing, they didn't treat it like a hobby. Yeah. They, and whether you like these people or you love them or you don't like them, it doesn't matter. They were able to go out and build something. And I'm not saying you have to be the next Richard Branson, because that's a long shot to get to that level, but you can still go out and be you, and you can still go out and apply yourself to this and still make money doing it. You don't have to be the next, guru of the airline industry. But if you apply yourself to this, and you treat it like a business, you get out of the hobby mindset, the success will be there.
Yeah, and just because you're not treating it like a hobby doesn't mean it's not a hobby. You can still have fun with what you're doing. Exactly. Just because you're treating it like a business doesn't mean, okay, like with my motorcycle stuff and everything, that didn't mean that I couldn't ride motorcycles anymore. It didn't mean that I couldn't talk about them. I just talked about them in a way where I could help people so that I could make a profit as well from that.
Right. And Justin, with what you just said too, people should have fun doing this. There's nothing wrong with having fun, but take it serious while you're having fun. Have fun, but know that there's money involved in it. Money should be serious. It should be something that is fun, but you treat it as a serious business and you earn more of it.
Yep.
So have fun doing it. We're not saying, not to laugh and enjoy the experience of learning how to build your site and make more money with it. have fun doing that, and ask questions, along the way too, while you get stuck. But treat it like
Yep.
that business. Make it a business for yourself.
Exactly.
And I mean, I think everyone, everyone successful has, even if they've had fun doing it, and everyone should have fun doing it. I think the successful people all take it in a serious manner, though.
Yeah, they take it in a serious manner, but I think they definitely have fun with it as well because it's something that they enjoy. I think I can't quote this specifically, but I believe Steve Jobs even said that the only way to be successful is to do something that you like doing.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason he got into creating applications and computers and stuff like that, I have no clue exactly what he created, to be honest, except for Apple. But the only way he got into that is because he had interest in it, and
Right.
he had fun doing it at the same time, but he treated it like a business, and it flew, dude. I mean, Apple is just amazing now.
Well,
Um,
he got fired from Apple at one point,
yep.
so he came back to it, and you can't tell me that's not love for
Yep.
what you're doing, because most people would have been like, that company is screwed. Have fun.
And
You guys fired me from my own job, my own business I created, but
didn't he
you
get
know,
fired? He
loved
got
it.
fired. He came back, and he ended up just slaughtering the competition.
Oh yeah,
Right?
that's
Yeah.
that's a real awesome success story.
hmm
So here's the best way to make money online, to not fail at making money online.
Okay.
Learn how to make money online. Okay? Learn. Again, hint, if you're not in it, nicheoptimizer.com. You can go to our other podcast and we'll give you the URL to that. But
Yep.
if you go to nicheoptimizer.com, you're going to find free stuff that's going to help you. You're going to find paid stuff that's going to help you. Use it. We don't care what you start with. Use it. Just do it.
Even if
So
it's just browsing over our resources and figuring out what type of things we like that we actually use, think about
Mhm.
that type of stuff and use that to your advantage.
So learn this stuff and then do it. And what I mean by do it is by applying it. Apply what we teach you, put the effort in, and then guess what you do after you start applying it? You keep learning every step of the way. Justin and I will tell you firsthand, we learn new stuff almost daily.
Oh yeah,
I
every
mean, there's
day.
almost not even a day that goes by where there's not something new coming out or something new to learn.
hmm
We learn and we keep improving and we keep applying the new stuff we're learning. We keep teaching the new stuff we're learning. But do this: learn, apply it by, again, do it by applying, keep learning, keep applying, and keep doing. You're going to grow your business that way.
And a lot of people might get a little bit overwhelmed by the fact that we say that we learn something every day because there is a lot to learn. But when you're starting out, there isn't much that you really need to know to get started. You just need to start somewhere. It doesn't mean that you have to learn a massive amount of knowledge every single day. It doesn't mean that you have to learn every single thing that we know.
Right. Great
Go
point.
in your own direction with this as well. Learn the things that you feel are benefiting you, and then, of course, apply those and do those things as much as you can, especially if you're making a type of profit from it. If you're making a profit from it, learn more about it and apply more to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Good, great points there, Justin. I mean, the things you need to know when you first come into this, what to do, you need to learn how to find a niche, how to build a website, how to monetize that website and get traffic.
Yep.
And then
And
money comes in.
And when we say niche, it doesn't mean that it has to specifically be something small. It's all about what your idea is, and idea generation is something that you have to learn as well. You have to learn idea generation and apply that and everything. You don't just immediately come up with ideas. Take 5 minutes and set that aside and go ahead and just think a little bit instead of just automatically taking action. And that can really, really help you to continue growing your knowledge and everything. And I know you just changed the slide, Michael, and sorry for anyone that's listening to the podcast. I got kind of off beat for a second. But yeah, it's definitely important to continue to learn, but make sure that those resources that you're using are trusted. Don't just go out there and type something on the internet and go buy some random product, okay? Because there are a lot of things out there. There's a lot of crap out there. There are a lot of people out there that are scammers, and sadly, I get these guys coming to me all the time asking me if I will promote their products, if I will leave them a fake review, if I'll go ahead and share it maybe on Facebook or maybe post inside of their forum so that I'm in there or something. And there are so many people out there that are just trying to leech off of you and trying to get your money and just trying to get as much as they possibly can, and they'll do anything for that. So if you are learning, if you're trying to learn this stuff and everything, a great place to go. And of course, Michael and I, we're biased because we created it. But if you go to nicheoptimizer.com and join our university, which is Now University or Niche Optimizer University, it's absolutely worth it. We have a lot of students in there, and we're getting success stories all the time. I mean, recently, this is really exciting. Kirk, one of our members, he ended up telling us recently that I think he's made like $250 in the last week. And that is awesome, dude. So if you're listening to this, Kirk, that is freaking awesome. That's amazing. And the great thing about it, and this is going to sound a little weird to people, is that he actually hasn't been doing anything for a while. He was working on this and everything, and then suddenly he kind of stopped for a bit, and he came back, and suddenly he's making money. And get this, it's completely passive. He's not even doing anything to make that money anymore. So that's exciting to think that those types of things are possible. So definitely, if you want a trusted source, which of course again we're biased when we say this, nicheoptimizer.com. Join Now University. It's a great place. There's a lot of really great people in there. We're adding things to it all the time. And if you have any questions, we're welcome to help you. Now if you don't want to join that, you can still ask questions on the podcast and things like that. I don't know if we'll always be able to respond to those because we need to focus on the university and all that. But we're totally welcome with answering questions wherever they may come and helping you succeed in whatever way that may be. So.
Yeah, and that if you guys want that URL, if you want to go listen to some other podcasts that we've put out, if you want to ask some questions, again, as Justin said, we focus on the university first, so the students get first dibs on our time. But if you do ask us questions, if you go to nicheoptimizer.com/podcast, you can go listen to additional podcasts we put out. You can ask us questions. You'll get answers when we go on there. And if you decide you want to become a student, go to nicheoptimizer.com. You can purchase. You can take a trial and test it, see what's cool, see if you like it. Ask us questions as a student, and
please ask us questions.
Yeah, we'll be all over those. The forum is awesome.
Yeah.
And I was actually reading Kurt's post there the other day, and that was really awesome. A really awesome testimony. Just having him come in and say, hey, I haven't been doing anything, and I
made money.
Money. So I guarantee he'll be doing more.
He's going to get back into this, and hopefully he makes more money from that. So.
Yeah. So everyone, we just want to thank you again for listening. We're going to have more upcoming podcasts coming up soon. I know this one was like 10 days since the last one. We've had a crazy time. We usually try to get one out every 7 days, so it took us an extra few days. But I got good news. I was out for like 3 days. My wife went back to the hospital, and she is going to be healing up nicely, and we should be back to almost normal in April. So she's doing
awesome.
She's doing great. So the people who have been asking me about my wife, there's the update for you. She's doing good, and she's making a comeback. So the broken wrist, which was a compound fracture, is almost, she's still going to lose some movement in it for the rest of her life, but hey, things are looking good for her, so it's an awesome step in the right direction. So everyone who's been asking me, thank you. I know I haven't responded to it, but there's the answer to what's going on there, and Justin and I should probably be able to go back to getting a podcast out every 7 days or so coming up. So
we'll be doing them much more frequently. And then also, since you mentioned the hospital and everything, after this, I'm probably going to go ahead and head to the hospital because my sister is giving birth tonight.
Wow.
to one of my baby nieces. And for anyone out there wondering, I actually have, it's like 12 nieces and nephews. And what's funny, and this is just a really quick story at the very, very end of this. One of my nephews is actually older than me. Isn't that
That's
weird?
crazy. That's wild, man.
He's it's only like I think it's like 8 months, and his name is Tony. But it's really weird because I remember I used to play games like Street Fighter. I'd play like these fighting games and stuff like that on the Super Nintendo, and he'd be playing with me right next to me. And he was older than me, but I was his uncle, and I used to be able to tell him what to do, and it was pretty awesome. I'd be like, "You're not allowed to punch me."
That's a weird situation, man. I bet that was interesting.
It definitely still is interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm actually gonna have a family reunion in May, and I'm hoping I get to see him again because I haven't seen him in quite a while. But just so everybody knows, another big reason that I specifically haven't, been with the podcast and everything over the last couple of days, we haven't been posting them as frequently, is because my sister has been in a high-risk pregnancy because of kidney stones, and she's been having surgery and all that and everything. So it's a little scary, but I believe everything's going to be okay. My mom actually called me right before we started the podcast, and she talked to me a little bit about that and everything. So what I'll probably do is maybe like in an hour I'll go ahead and head over there to the hospital. So, but for everyone out there, it was awesome sharing this podcast. I want to thank Michael because he actually put this together. He put all the show notes together and everything. And it's some really great information because there's so many people out there that just give excuses and they don't do anything and they don't take any action. So make sure after this podcast, if not today, maybe tomorrow, take action. Go out there and do something. And if you want, go ahead and join Niche Optimizer, the Niche Optimizer University at nicheoptimizer.com. And if you want access to all the show notes, you can go to nicheoptimizer.com/OSP6, and that'll be all the show notes for this specific podcast.
And Justin, real quick before we sign off there too, if you guys have a question over this podcast, like if there's a topic we covered in here you want to ask it on where Justin just said, nicheoptimizer.com/OSP6.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask the question there, I was just making sure I got that URL right, but but if you ask us that question there, we'll answer that for you. Even though Justin and I have a lot of stuff going on, we'll get there. We'll get it answered. We're not going to leave you hanging for very long if you do have a question. But ask away, and we'll help you the best we can in that segment. So make sure.
Definitely make sure to leave comments. It's a really great thing to do. And the last couple of comments that we've received are just so amazing because I love seeing in detail comments and like criticism and stuff like that. It's so awesome to see. Yeah. And it sees that people are actually listening to what we have to say, which is even more exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys again. We'll sign off here, and everyone have a fantastic day, and we'll see you at the podcast, and we'll see you in the upcoming podcast, and we'll see you at the site at nicheoptimizer.com.
Yep. See you in the next podcast, everybody. Catch you later.